says you're streaming.
We are live. Wednesday night with those guys, and Wednesday night with those guys is sponsored by those guys.
What's up, man?
I got it, Lawrence.
No, this is the last.
What's up
for the year? So we got to give them.
Yeah,
I got the alert,
so
everyone else should be getting it sooner or later.
Oh, okay.
What's good, man?
Well, this is the stream, the last one for the year. So, you know, I'm same old with me. You know, I'm got past the holidays with the family and everything. You know how things were. You know, I had
Bill
to do some running around with the family and spend time with the family for the holidays. Plus, you remember, you were like one of the first people I contacted when I had the issue after the last stream that I did, when this thing here fell and hit the tower, and I had some fireworks going off here that threw the PC and everything out for days. And you know, I finally got everything put back together, checked out the graphics card. That's where the issue.
Didn't you feel naked without that damn computer?
Well, I felt kind of.
It's like leaving your wallet or your keys in the house and you can't sit comfortably. For the last year or so, sure, you're giving away a Mavic Pro. Don't make me laugh, man. Happened? My lungs aren't strong enough to laugh too hard.
A Mavic Pro? Oh, no. No Mavic Pro. We're not giving away a Mavic Pro. But we are taking orders on the V-Copter.
What's up, everyone? Time to fly. How are you? Dave Ennis, Night Train, Daryl Hickman, Bill, Coast to Coast. We'll get into everything a little later on. It's still early. I'm not drinking tonight. I have a giant mug of tea.
Waiting on a few guys to come in.
It's still early, and no one knew if we were going to be live or what, because basically,
the guys on the panel. Well, the guys on the panel ought to basically mean, you know. So as far as, you know, as the title of the stream here, as you can see, it says Wednesday night with those guys, you know, 85 limping to the finish line in 2020.
Happy New Year-ish. Hey, El Schmeghead.
El Schmeghead, what's going on? You know, this has been a rough year for everyone.
I know.
Yeah, rough year for everyone. And
should I just leave this tea bag in here, man?
Yeah. Sure you can. I mean, if it's the kind of tea bag that might get softened.
No, it's not one of those cheap bags. I actually spent some decent money on some organic green tea. You guys, I want the tea bag exploding while I'm drinking it.
That
Desmond Donders. It's time to fly. Thanks a lot. It's good to be back. I'm still not at 100%. I actually still have pneumonia in this left lung here. So we're using remedies. Hey, what's up, Paul? Desmond Donders. Like I was saying, for those of you who knew and didn't know,
David,
I have to be very very. I have to speak a little soft and quickly and gasp for air. But for those of you who didn't know, the last time you saw me, I had a mask on, and I was explaining how I had lost my taste. Well, we were doing a shot and a drop because it's my birthday. I couldn't taste any of it. Make a long story short, I had COVID. My entire family came down with COVID, and I felt really, really bad because I was the one who contaminated them. And the lady that contaminated me, we're not going to go into ethnicity or anything like that, but we were working in her house, and she was coughing. And usually we have people. Yeah, we've had people stay on one side of the house while we clean the other. And I kept telling my boss, yo, that chick in there, she's sick. This lady, she's got like 11 or 15 stents in her. She's about 60 something years old. Make a long story short, we were cleaning and I overheard her in a conversation saying they'll be done soon. I'm going to go to the testing center as soon as they leave. I heard this and immediately text my boss and was like, yo, that bitch in there is sick. And he was like, well, yo, go sit in the car if you think she is or whatever. And I'm like, if I sit in the car, that means we're going to be here another 3 hours because you got to finish doing this shit yourself. But hey, Dave Ennis, but to make a long story short, the very next day she came up positive. And 3 days after that, which was the day before my birthday, I started losing my taste. I have been in a COVID hotel. And I, for those of you who don't know what a COVID hotel is, I'm gonna be blunt with you. A COVID hotel is where you go when your house is too small to quarantine from everyone without infecting them. And at this time, I had not known my wife and daughter were infected, and I almost died in this hotel. I was there for 7, 8 days. Herman kept in touch with me. Hadley's famous kept in touch. Jackson RC recovery, and in that entire week that I was there, I didn't eat anything because everything tasted. I might as well have, the rubber bands they put around the mail, Herman?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I might as well have been chewing on rubber bands. I couldn't taste or smell or anything. But to make a long story short, you go to this COVID hotel and all they do is they take your temperature and they take your oxygen count. And as long as your oxygen count doesn't drop below a certain number, no, they're not, below a certain number, they won't take you to the hospital. Well, yes, I am. Let me just say, in the 7, 8 days I was there, 5 of those days they carried bodies out. I came to the conclusion that this COVID hotel was a place they were sending people to fucking die. Because I later came, they're not here. I later came to find out that that hotel gets $65,000 for each person who dies in that hotel. Now they say it's their way of keeping hotel employees working and stuff. It's basically a place for you to go die because on my 8th day, I came home. And now keep in mind, I had not eaten in a week, about a week and a half, because I'd started before that. I was actually home for a few days. First, I went to the hospital and they gave me 2 IV bottles. Then they sent me home. Okay. I went through 2 IV bottles in 2 hours. So that was a big bottle, an hour. They sent me home. I went to the COVID hotel. I didn't eat for a week. The day that I walked in this door, it took me 10 minutes to get from the cab from the hotel, because they supply a cab from the hotel from my gate to my door. It took me 10 minutes. And when I walked in the door, I almost fucking passed out. I had my mother, my wife, my sister-in-law, and everybody I possibly knew other than Herman and Hadley on the phone telling me to go to the emergency room. And fortunately, everybody was ready to call 911 because I believe I possibly would have passed that day, because I got to the hospital and they immediately hooked me up to the IV. They diagnosed me. They did a quick test, diagnosed me with COVID. Hey, place it there. I was literally this close. Now, those of you who know me, I'm 6'3". Up until about 2 weeks ago, I was about 270, 275. When I left the hospital 3 days ago, I was 220 to 225 pounds. So basically, I lost about 50 pounds. But to make a long story short, I'm home. I actually came home on Christmas Eve. My wife practically almost died twice from it because I'm trying to speed up Herman, but she was infected. She went into the hospital. They were treating her, and they sent her home
Mhm.
They had put her, I'm 6'3". They put her on blood thinner. She's only, how tall are you? 4'4". She's only 4'11". They gave her the dosage of a blood thinner for someone my size. So basically, it turned her blood to water. They released her. They took out her IV, and it bleeds a little, bleeds a little. The stupid fucking nurse never realized that it never stopped bleeding. They sent her home. Make a long story even shorter, my wife, if my daughter did not go and check on my wife while she was laying in a bed, she probably would have bled to death. She was bleeding out for 8 to 10 hours. So then they had to take her back to the hospital. She lost 4. They say the human body is 10 quarts of blood. She had lost 4. So now she's back in the hospital a second time. Okay, now they have to give her a blood transfusion because her blood is too thin. And they can't give you anything to thicken your blood because COVID goes with the thickening. It helps thicken your blood and shit like that. But anyway, um, after the transfusion, they started giving her iron and stuff to thicken her blood. And to make a long story, she was sent home. But I was in the hospital. She was in a hospital room next to me. She was already in the hospital for a week. I was in a COVID hotel for a week. But just so that I could get treatment because they weren't going to take me even though I had COVID. Hey, Tom, my wife had to act like she was still suffering symptoms of COVID.
Hey, Tom.
So they would admit her. And then once they admitted her, even though they brought me in on an ambulance, they had to run the COVID test on me, et cetera, et cetera. Now, keep in mind, at the same time, my 16-year-old daughter was also infected. Thank God the only symptoms that she had were a mild headache and a stuffy nose. So now my sister-in-law upstairs is sending food down here. I'm in the hospital. My wife's in the hospital. And she wind up, hey, what's up, Eddie? She wind up coming home, thank God, with my wife, black and blue, from how many times they stuck her.
What's up, Chris?
And once she said, I'm not leaving the hospital until you admit my husband. And once she got word from the doctor said, we are going to admit him. He is full COVID. We're going to start him on remdesivir and all of the stuff. That was really, really bad. And yeah, she says, I didn't tell him about the fact she got stuck for me.
What's up?
But she was actually in the same room with me, going through all of the outside of visiting hours. They had admitted my wife, and she's like, look, my husband's sick too. I'm not leaving till you fucking admit him. So they put us both in the same room for a little while.
You're very lucky.
Diagnosed her as still having COVID, but developed. Well, I can't go into all of it, Diane, but to make a long story short, I'm
your
home.
Blessings.
Yes,
thank you. I'm home.
Just happy you're home.
I have pneumonia in my left lung still.
Right.
That's why I have a giant thing of tea here, green tea. I'm trying to walk daily, which is not easy. I have to put my body weight back on because, like I said, I lost 50 pounds. Easy.
You got a pulse oximeter at home, right?
I have. Yes. I check it every.
The finger one. Yeah, she's doing it too. The both of you, actually, all of you in the house need to do it a couple times a day. Okay?
But because
that's
I have
the true indicator there. That's what you got to worry about.
I do it periodically throughout the day.
COPD anyway.
I have the COPD. Naturally, my numbers, instead of being 97 to 95 to 98, are usually 93 to about 96.
Yeah, so you got to be very, very careful.
Right. So, but I use it. I check periodically throughout the day.
Yeah.
I keep eating and drinking lots of hot, steamy stuff.
You got to hydrate. Hydrate. Lots of water, man. Well, you know what's really good, Lawrence, and you really do need to do this, especially with your underlying medical conditions, is pick up several bottles of Pedialyte. You need to do that because you need to keep your electrolytes. Your electrolytes need to be up too, but you don't need all that extra sugar. So the Pedialyte is your best approach.
Yeah, it's great for rehydration. But I've been drinking a lot of tea. There's a remedy that Herman and a few people had told me about to get the pneumonia out of my lung, and it involves wheatgrass and garlic. So because of the cold, it's hard to go outside as long as I keep my face covered. Today was comfortable, but yesterday and the day before, it was too cold for me to breathe. But I could not find any fresh
count your
wheatgrass.
blessings. You're home.
Yeah, oh, the man who you telling.
My friend's husband passed away after 8 days in the hospital.
My condolences, because
second, type 2 diabetes, but they both were experiencing problems. They got a pulse oximeter. Took his readings, and he was in the mid 80s. And he said, "Oh, it doesn't work." And she took hers. She was 96, and they went to the hospital. They had to suspend him upside down for several days, actually. After they put him on a ventilator. And
they did have him on a ventilator?
Yeah, he had the entire cocktail and everything from the second he walked in, the steroids. And his lungs immediately developed fibroids. And at first they thought it was pneumonia, but it wasn't the puffy white on the x-ray. It was stark gray.
Wow. Which means it's physical.
He couldn't pass the oxygen across the cell walls.
Through the lungs,
Right. 8 days later. So kiss your wife, count your blessings.
I am.
Keep an eye on each other. Keep an eye on each other and get that body weight back.
I am, man. Okay. Trust me, because the nurse was like, "Aren't you happy you're going home for Christmas?" And I'm like, "Lady, fuck Christmas right now. Glad to be alive." Because they actually did an experimentation. They experimented, hey, Michael Blades, with me. I was in the first room that they tried this, and it was a negative pressure room. And this room had a seal, seal around the door.
Right.
And the bathroom had one vent on super high, sucking the air out. And they also had, the pump, you have the oxygen in and the oxygen out on the wall, Tom. They had that on. They usually use that to pump people's stomachs. They had that on to help reduce the pressure in the room.
That was the airline. The airline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I also had fresh oxygen coming in, but they were all, the room was under pressure. Low. It was a low pressure room, and they could not open a door until the seal was, if you
equalized.
Didn't close, right. If it's not equalized,
they have to equalize the pressure in those rooms. Yeah.
Right. But
see, you know what? The big problem you face is that luckily you were able to tolerate the oxygen and they were able to keep the oxygen levels up. But the reality of it is a lot of people, and it's what the COVID-19 enzyme, actually the protein is doing. It's really creating havoc to the point where you first get put on a positive pressure oxygen. But it becomes a strain on you because it's forcing you to breathe.
Well, the doctor.
So the next thing they have to basically do is intubate you.
Well, the doctor
and they have to give you certain paralytics, and all of this compounds the situation.
The doctor was telling me. He said
the saddest thing is you can't
in the Middle
be
East, in the Middle East, and in India, that for some reason, of course, the air pressure is lower in those parts of the world, and he and a bunch of other doctors said, let's try to create a low pressure room. To make a long story short, I came out on the positive end of it, but there were 3 of us. They brought in 2 people. One lady got slightly better and could slowly start breathing, and one gentleman died. But these were 3 rooms in the hospital that they specifically fixed out for this. And thank goodness it worked on my end. But
the sad reality is 1 in 1,000 right now. Okay. So tell me how scary that is. And those of you that are in major metropolitan areas, you come across more than 1,000 people in a short period of time. Okay.
Quickly.
Especially in New York.
think about all the families that are impacted. So, look, I believe in science. So I believe in masks. I believe in following and hoping we can all get through this, but that's the whole thing. We all have to get through it. The sad reality is, when your loved ones are dying in ICU, you can't even be with them. You can't see them. You have to basically stream.
And I want to tell
your
you how
goodbyes, and
serious
that
this is,
so
Tom.
sad.
Tom, I want to tell you how serious this is because, and we're gonna go on with the live stream and rehashing through the year. But I want to point out something for all of you who aren't wearing masks. And if you notice the states that you live in, y'all were crying, take our rights away and all of that bullshit. Right now, those states are worse off than we are here in New York. And I also want to point out one more thing. For those of you that think you can hunker down in your house and get Uber Eats and all of that, it doesn't work because we were infected in the basement apartment because of me. Okay. My mother-in-law is in the hospital now, thank God, doing better. She has stage 4 cancer. She has not left the house, and somehow she developed it. We have a tenant on the second floor whose wife died. We're pretty sure it's COVID related, but the husband was staying out of the house and she died. And come to find out, there was a couple in Manhattan that never left their house since April. And the 3 of them contracted it and the husband died. And they finally came to the conclusion that it travels through the walls and the air vents and the heating ducts and all of that.
What we have to do is be responsible, not just for ourselves, but
Amen. Also
focus on others, right? And we said, look, we're not going to talk about, we agreed amongst ourselves with, we're not going to talk about this all night, but
right.
This is like a wrap-up show, right? But this is actually what's happening today. So
you don't really want to hear what I got to say about 2020.
It's real, okay? These things are real. It doesn't go away by ignoring it, and unless we come together as a community, okay, we're not going to get through this. So let's learn from our history. Let's learn from our past. Let's, you want to do your research or you want to go look at YouTube, go look at the Spanish flu from the late 1918 through 1920. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've hit a threshold in this country where, hey, Thanksgiving, we had a surge, right? Okay, after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was only a couple of days worth of celebration.
Yeah.
Here we are in this holiday season that basically lasts from the middle of December, with Hanukkah all the way through into January with Kwanzaa,
January 7th,
right?
with the Three Kings.
So with Three Kings, right, finalizing, and so we're in a period where we're going to suffer a great deal, and you're not going to go untouched. You're not going to go untouched by this. So please, let's get together as a community, and and also let's remember one thing, and I'll leave it at this. This is my closing words on it. Is attached to your mouth, so when you put the mask on,
cover the nose too.
Both. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
I agree.
You'll get lazy, but I have to pull up my socks occasionally. Okay.
Hey Lawrence, I got one question for you.
Okay. Where we going, boys?
Yeah. Now we're off. I'm glad to be back. God willing.
We only have 13 likes. Okay, 15 likes.
Well, Lawrence, I have
a lot more people watching.
Yeah.
Let's get on there.
Are you still 6'3"?
6'3"?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I'm still not standing up straight, so I doubt it very much. I doubt it. I used to be 6'3.5", and all of a sudden someone said, get rid of the ½ inch. I happen to know that the subway doors.
Count, man.
But hold on.
That only counts when you're boasting, okay?
The subway doors, the subway doors are exactly 6'3". And I know this because when I put on a baseball cap, this little bean on the top, if I don't tilt my head like this to get through the train, it'll knock my hat off. I have not been on the train yet. I don't plan on getting on for a while, but No, as an answer to your question, I'm probably not 6'3" anymore. Give me a second. Let me go dump this tea bag and stuff.
I'm
Like I
I'm
said,
6.5. Are we talking about height here? What are we talking about?
no, because he
Oh,
had
okay.
started off by saying, how he's 6'3", was 280, lost all this weight. I wanted to know if he was still 6'3".
Look, all I'm going to say is we're shrinking. Okay. There comes a point where the hair grows in all the wrong places. And for some reason, the world gets bigger and you get smaller. So,
yeah, it's true, Tom. But anyway, this is the limping to the finish line of 2020.
You
This
are
will
what
be
you
the
say you
last
are.
live stream of the year.
Yeah,
And
it's been a rough year for everyone. And that's why I said limping to the finish line 2020. Because as a nation, we are limping to the finish line. And we got one more day left after today. And I guess it's over with for this year. And we can move on and hope for bigger and better things.
true.
But here, with those guys and on Wednesday night, we have covered a lot of things. And we've been all over the place. We've seen a lot of things. We've brought a lot of things to you guys. And, we entered into the year with, hopes and expectations. And we never thought that we would see certain things come to play, And the one thing that we did mention and it was a hot topic
Matt,
throughout
you got an invite.
was the, remote ID. And I've been seeing a lot of videos out there and
Recently,
guys,
right?
yeah, and I've seen a lot of thumbnails with RIP and putting drones on the tombstones and stuff like that. I've seen some nice thumbnails and
Can I ask you a quick question, Herman?
Yeah.
Pertaining to that?
Yeah.
How long have we been freaking talking about remote ID?
Well, for quite some time.
And these guys are posting stuff like they're just now hearing about this shit.
Well, we talk about it for quite some time. Like I said, it's been the big topic of
the reality is
big
here.
topics of the year.
The reality is it's here.
We talked about the Christmas present that the FAA was going to bring to us for Christmas Day, or for Christmas time. And I was actually talking with Tom the other day about it, and Tom pretty much summed it up to me, and I was telling Tom, it's a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about for the longest time, and
the
Tom,
reality is here, right?
If you'd like to explain it, bring it, to him, and, so we can all understand it, like what's actually happening with that.
How are you, Stevie? Happy New Year, brother.
Stevie.
Okay, Matt.
So basically, look, we've been talking about it a long time, and what the FAA has decided to do is play many days of the holiday and give us several different treats. Oh, Dave, how are you? With that came remote ID. That's the big one, right? But stealthily packaged within that also is night flight, recurrent testing, and flight over people. So first, we'll get started with remote ID. As we've said several times on this stream, big concern that everybody had was you're going to know who I am, you're going to know where I live, you're going to know my personal data. And I've said all along, it's much like your license plate. And that's exactly what we have. And that's exactly what was released in this remote ID final rule is it's a license plate. Okay. So in that license plate will be information regarding your Latin long, your velocity, okay, and the Latin long and altitude of your control station. But what won't be available to anybody is who you are, what you are, and your contact information from the registration database. That will only be available for airspace safety and local jurisdiction. So we're talking about the FAA and the local cops, okay? So that is the meat of remote ID. Now, remote ID comes Also, with a couple of things that are quite interesting, is that remote ID will not be carried over the cellular network. So you can't be 3 miles away and see a drone up in the sky off in the distance and go, okay, point my device at it and go, who is that? Because you're not going to get that. You have to be within range of the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth signal being transmitted by the UA or unmanned aircraft. And that was quite interesting that they limited to that. But of course, they also said that you have to broadcast, the manufacturers have to broadcast to the widest extent possible. Okay. But again, that widest extent possible has to be within FCC parameters. So Bluetooth is fairly limited.
It is limited, but you are still,
so Bluetooth only device is only going to get 30 plus feet.
Right.
Right. Okay. So that's the gist of the remote ID part of it. Okay. And so there are aspects to it as to how it will be carried out, whether it's going to be a standard remote ID, which is basically built into the aircraft, okay, or it's a remote ID broadcast module. So a broadcast module, actually, they wrote it in that this broadcast module will allow you to retrofit older drones so that they're compliant with the new law. And then, of course, the other aspect you have to remote ID is what they call FAA recognized identification areas, or FRIAs, FRIAs, okay? And you don't need any remote ID to fly into that. And that was their way of placating the community-based hobbyist, or AKA the American Model Association.
Right.
Right.
So within those areas, of course, you can only fly to this height, to that level. You know, you can't fly above people. You can't fly at night in those areas, but you also have to maintain the altitude restrictions by those community-based organizations, which currently state 400 feet. Now, so that's the gist of remote ID. It doesn't happen tomorrow. It didn't happen just the other day when they released it.
Exactly.
It first has to be published in the Federal Register. Okay, that's when it's official. And then 60 days post then, the rule goes into effect. But that doesn't mean remote ID goes into effect. You still have 30 months under Part 107 for it to be fully operational. Okay? So basically, think of it this way. You got about almost 3 years before you have to worry about it. Okay?
They did the same thing with Lance or Lank. If you
It's
remember.
the way it works. It's a, you know, look, you got to have, first off, you got to have manufacturers who can build it into their products, right? You can't say today, okay, all vehicles must have this device equipped on them, because it would take the industry a while to tool up and become compliant. That's what's happening here. Okay, let's go on to the bonus round. In the bonus round, we have, okay, flight over people. Yes. I said it, flight over people. But you got a couple of categories to that one. So let's just call them category 1, 2, and 3 for argument purposes. Category 1, of course, is that 0.55 pounds or 250 grams or lower. And I'm going to come back to that one because that's the fun one. That one seems like you can do almost anything. Not really, but we'll get back to that one. We'll get back to that one, right? The next one is your typical Mavic, you know, Pros, your Mavic Airs, your Phantoms, even your Inspires, and possibly even your Matrices. Actually, it does include your Matrices. You can fly over people, but you have to have, you have to file for what's known as a method of compliance and a document of compliance. So basically, you got to file for a waiver, okay? And, you know, you have to state, now it might not cover Matrices, might not cover Inspires. It depends on, I think there's a velocity rate of how, what kind weight fall, the physics of the weight of the aircraft falling. And then you have a category above that, which basically requires you to have an airworthiness certificate or Amazon Airlines. So let's go back to that first one where we all think we're going to get over here with the Mavic Mini 2 or the Mavic Mini because it's below 250 grams. Well, in all of these categories I mentioned of flight over people, there's one thing that must be in place: a method to prevent any rotating blades from lacerating human skin.
Yep.
Okay. That means prop guards. And what happens to a Mavic Mini? I already figured it out for you. At 242 grams, when you add 23.5 grams worth of Mavic 2 Mini 2 prop guards, brings you to 265 and a half
fly guy,
grams.
Merrill.
Or guess what? That's 0.58 pounds.
You now exceed the
No
limit.
longer category 1. You can't fly over people. You now have to submit a formal method of compliance and a document of compliance in order to get a waiver to do so. And remember, even with a waiver to do so, you must limit your flight time over people. And those people have to be fully aware of your flight over them.
But how about this?
So,
how about if you know how they take the GoPros apart? They call them naked GoPros.
Yeah.
And they put them.
Yeah.
What if they do a naked Mini, strip off that shell, protect the part somehow?
Again,
it's under the grams,
you
right?
Can fly.
Technically,
Think
it's
about
under
it.
the weight, and you put the prop guard, you good.
There's plenty of FPVs that will be well under the weight, correct?
Yeah, but they have to put the prop guards on.
That is correct. And that is the big clincher right there. There is not a class of aircraft here, okay, including up to class 3, that doesn't require a method to be in place to prevent those spinning blades from creating a laceration.
That's why, if you notice that they're creating these sin whoops with deducted vents, because a lot of people say, okay, I'm going to fly a subclass 250 gram. Now, with the proper battery on this, not this battery, but with the proper battery on this, it is below 250 grams. The problem is, like Tom said, the props need to be protected.
Yes.
So then they came out with the sin whoops that have the protected ducts.
Yeah, the ducts around them. Right, Eddie. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you're in the FPV, there's something called a toothpick. The toothpick is this size, but frame, motor, and components is only 150 to 170 grams. Now, once you put ducts on it and a battery, it'll kind of balance out to about 200 or a little less.
So it's possible.
Whether you want to or not, you're going to conform.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now, you don't think DJI is going to come out with a fully compliant product that you can sell to the common Joe on the street? Of course they are.
They probably have about 3 or 4, and they're just probably going, which
well, let me ask this, and I don't know, and maybe somebody has the answer here because I didn't follow it as closely. On the Mavic Mini 2, is there a Japanese version? And how much lighter is that Japanese version? Because remember, wasn't the Japanese version on the Mini, the original Mini, down to like 190 grams?
Yep.
Because in Japan,
they used a cheaper plastic.
Right. Well, Japan, they used a different battery, Matt. That's how they did it. The battery was less cells in the battery, therefore a lighter weight battery, and it got it under that weight. Because really, when you think about it, where is the most weight on these things?
Battery.
Right? It's the battery.
Yeah.
So I imagine if you got your hands, think about it this way. If you got your hands on a Japanese version of the Mini 2 and put prop guards on it, you'd be compliant with that category 1 with flight over people. So we have to find a back channel for buying Japanese Mavic Mini 2s now. So just let us know, drop us a line here, and we'll help you work through that.
Check the Wish app.
Yeah.
You get that with a headband.
So the last part of this. Oh no, let me give you. I'm going to give you another bonus here. Part 107 pilots. I'm sorry. These last two are Part 107 pilot bonuses. The first one is night flight. You don't have to get a waiver. You have to go through the additional training and pass the exam, and you can fly at night. You have to fly with a beacon, okay? And again, you have to take the training. Bonus 1. Bonus number 2, it will no longer cost you $150 to keep your currency on your Part 107. Again, what I mean by that is when your 2-year mark comes around, it's not going to cost you another $150 to take the exam. You'll have to take the exam online. But the exam will be free to those current Part 107 certificate holders.
That's a
So
good deal.
that's another bonus for Part 107 pilots.
Yeah, that's a plus. That's a plus.
So that
And
kind of,
keep in mind when Tom says you have to have a beacon, it has to be able to be seen 3 nautical miles. We're not
yes.
talking 3 blocks.
No,
We're
and there's
talking this thing has
plenty
to
of
be able
product
to
out
be
there.
this thing has to be
Yeah.
able to be seen for 3 nautical miles. Okay. Otherwise, you're not compliant. Plain and simple.
Remember, the actual guideline says that it has to be visible from 3 nautical miles, 360 degrees. So when you stick it on the ass of your drone, you're not meeting that requirement. And your light on the bottom of your Mavics doesn't count. Okay?
Nope.
Got to be on the top.
Doesn't count.
It's gotta
It's
be
got to
top
be
center.
a beacon.
Top center.
Right. Yeah. So there's lots of product out there. I mean, you can buy, the Loom Cubes. You can buy the Firehouse Technologies, strobes. There's a lot out there. Also, one thing that is called out in this whole Christmas time or holiday season release by the FAA, thank you. They gift wrapped it and all, was you cannot equip your drone with ADS-B. Okay?
You see what Copper State put in the chat?
Yes, the nighttime, correct. The nighttime flight is going to be in the recurrent testing. Okay? And if it's your turn, okay, it's I would wait. If you're not current right now, hold off, unless of course you're earning every day with it. If you're not earning every day with your Part 107 and you're starting to lapse, hold off a little bit, let the rule become final post the 60 days. And the portal, I believe, for the testing is already up. Okay. But the current testing, the way it was set up, was only good for X number of months during COVID. They have to do the switch over to where now you have the 2 years worth of currency. Okay. So for your recurrent exam, the night questions will be on there. So
Tom, I heard that they're actually re-engineering the test to put more UAV type answers or questions on the test.
Remember, Matt, you're right. When the test came out, we're taking it from basically the ATP. We're taking it from the pilot training, and that's why if you already held a Part 61, Part 91, an aircraft single engine land or C rating, you only had to go online and take a set of questions. Okay. Because everything was modeled off of basically a ground exam. So this makes a lot more sense, and it's going to be a lot more focused and pointed. But it also means you got to be a lot more fluent in using that equipment. I'm still I'm still a little have mixed feelings over whether there should be an additional level of certification. And I think that over time, that'll work itself out. Because I think at some point in time, there has to be an additional level of certification that you actually have to take a practical exam for.
Okay.
You know, look, I you
It
know,
would only make
can
sense.
do my ground school and I can do my ground exam. But when I get in a cockpit, my palms get sweaty, and I've yet to be able to land without bouncing 14 times on the runway.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I don't think you should say just because you passed the exam, here you go, you got a pilot's license. I think
I
you need to
agree.
take the practical.
I
Okay.
agree.
So you're
And
telling me just to
and I'm
get rid
not
of all my
saying,
drones and just buy a Cessna?
well, you know what? If it were easy enough to do as easy it is with a drone, think about it, Matt. There'd be some
I get it.
crowded skies, right?
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
Yeah, sure would.
Oh
But
yes.
but
they
you know
would.
what? Certain things,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying, you know, if you're shooting some real estate and stuff like that, but if
Yeah.
you're doing some you know, complex work, you know, in risky situations and stuff like
Mhm.
that, I think there should be a level of proficiency that has to be shown. I know, you know, NIST right now, the National Institute of Science and Technology, is looking at, we've already formalized training for public safety. Now we're
Mhm.
looking for a certification level for public safety providers, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
So, but I see this happening in other industries also. I think there would probably at some point be, you know, certain levels of certification for like bridge inspections or infrastructure, structural engineering inspections. Because look, it just in this city, in New York City, you know, we're a very vertical city. So
Yeah.
our big problem here is facades and
Yes.
inspecting fronts of buildings and things like that. You know, these are things we've talked about this past year because there was
Yeah.
a death. There have been a few injuries and serious deaths as a result of
Facades falling.
falling infrastructure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One just happened
Bridges.
last week. Yeah, in Brooklyn.
How many
One just
bridges
happened
across this
this
country
week.
are decaying?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Hundreds.
most communities can't
90% of them.
afford to. Right. Well, you know, unfortunately, if you really start reading some of the nationwide reports, it does get pretty scary.
It does.
Okay, we
Weight
were great at building
requirements and
it.
stuff.
We were great at building it. We're not. We suck at keeping things maintained.
Maintaining. Yeah.
Copper
exactly.
State says
Yeah.
so. What would the practical test consist of? Obstacle course? You believe in it? If not,
So
need
if you
to.
want to know, this is basically what is done for the NIST public safety training is, and it's very simple. And in fact, we made the course very, very simple for departments across the country to set up on their own of varying budgets, right? Not everybody's in New York City, okay? Not everybody is in LA County. So basically the way it was set up was you have white 5-gallon paint containers.
Mhm.
In the bottom of those paint containers is a series of bullseye targets and cross-hatching. And those are set up on stanchions, either facing straight up, facing at various degrees, like 30 degrees, 45 degrees, even facing downwards, and then placed in various areas on basically a test track or a test course.
Okay.
We also place them inside vehicles, targets inside windshields or inside back windows or side windows, so that you can then go through this course. And the course is basically an aerial obstacle course. The outdoor course is when they pull up to a target, they have to angle the camera properly, but we don't want to wait till they get there to angle the camera. So what the pilot is doing is he's analyzing what the angle of approach should be and maintain a certain altitude, and he has to maintain that altitude while he starts to gimbal down the camera until he gets to that target. And once that
Hey
target
Ryan, what's good?
is aligned, then he gets a green light to move on to the next target.
How are you,
And
Ryan?
the
Let's
course is mapped out and it's timed. And there's levels of proficiency set for them to go through the course. So it's pretty eye-opening. And you know, when you fly a Mavic through it, like a Mavic 2 Pro or a Mavic 2 ED, and you get through the course, and then the next thing you fly is a Matrice 210 RTK, it's like flying through mud. It doesn't react the same way. So there's various levels,
It's a big
various
drone.
levels of proficiency that you have to exercise. Then you might have a search you have to perform. So they'll put different vests on a group of people and send them out where we did it down in Maryland. We sent them out in the woods, and you had to locate the person with the right color vest on.
Later, L. Smeghead.
Okay. So there is practical proficiency training underway right now. And again, it's completely mapped out, and it was underwritten by the Department of Commerce, which NIST, which is the National Institute of Science and Technology. That's a Department of Commerce organization. So I was very fortunate to get to spend some time down there assisting on the design of this course. They also built courses for the ground robotics, you know, to do interior searches and obstacles and get those devices over that. And we even took certain liberties with that course to bring drones into that environment and even fly drones in what we call denied space, meaning it's a GPS restricted space. You get no GPS signal. So you had to be able to fly the drone through these obstacles.
Absolute Addy mode in that whole
at
area.
Various heights. Wow. And yeah, completely. You were in a denied space. Okay, you had no signal other than your control station signal. So there are levels of proficiency, and that needs to be recognized, and it needs to be certified at some level, right? You don't jump in a Cessna 172, okay, with your brand new spanking cert and figure tomorrow I'm going to step into a 737 and be able to fly it. I got the license, right?
Smeghead, you can leave a PayPal if you want.
I know every time I take off with my drone, my hands always get sweaty. I know when I lose that feeling, basically I'm not no good no more. I have to have that feeling. Every time I take off, my hands have to be sweaty.
You have to care about it.
Nervous feeling I always get when it takes off.
That's that adrenaline rush that you get. And you're supposed to get that rush because once you start getting comfortable, and Tom and everyone else knows this, when you get comfortable flying a drone, you get careless.
Yeah, and you do something.
You build up the tolerance, right?
Yes. Yes, L. Smeghead, if you go to the About Me section, I think Herman has a PayPal link there. I'm pretty sure of it. We appreciate you, man, and early Happy New Year, because where El Smeghead is now, it's actually New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So he said, you know, we want to say to hell with 2020. And of course, after catching COVID, God only knows what I have to say about it. But
you got to start scratching some lottery tickets, Lawrence. Okay? Start scratching some lottery tickets already, will you?
Listen. Herman told me last night, he says, yo, Lawrence, if I win this, I'm just going to call you and tell you to grab your family and leave Queens.
Dude, it'll be like the apocalypse. You got to leave on one of those, four-wheel all-terrain vehicles and get the hell out of Dodge.
Upper State, maybe you guys know, is there a way to shut off GPS on the Mavic 2?
Yes, fly indoors.
Yeah, fly next to a building.
Indoors?
Okay. Here's the other thing.
Fly by the bridges.
You go to Bass Pro Shops, or I don't know what neighborhood, or Dick's Sporting Goods, and you buy yourself one of those little lead fishing weights, and you hit it a few times with a hammer, and then you glue it to the top of your drone. I'm pretty sure your GPS is not going to function at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the reality of it,
there's a hack.
Oh no, there's one other way. Sorry, there's one other way. You get a roll of Reynolds wrap, you wrap your drone in that, and then you make a little hat for yourself also. And I'm pretty sure that'll prevent the GPS.
I can't laugh too hard.
You
just try to kill Addy mode.
If you don't want to look crazy, just put the aluminum inside your hat.
You talking about
pop it over.
Yeah.
You got the aluminum.
No, you know, so
aluminum
bro,
inside.
so the real question is, Copper State, I know what you're getting at, man. You want to know how do I get it in Addy mode? Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a function that needs to be part of drones. Again,
Yes.
we're tapping on something we already talked about this year. This is our part of our wrap up. Addy mode is an essential flight mode on drones. It needs to be there because when you get in trouble, that's not when you want to learn how to fly in Addy mode.
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Well, truthfully speaking, it is the only way to get total control of your drone. Because a flyaway, the issues that you may have is all caused by GPS errors.
Yes, and
So
you can hit so
is Addy mode.
Just let's not get everybody ready to jump off the cliff because they
We
don't have it. Just remember,
we don't want
if you don't have it,
building and try to put your bird.
Listen, I've been saying
Herman,
this
is that season, bro? Is that new drone season? You can't do that on a live stream.
Dude,
you know, many people got
there's
their
plenty
first
of
drone this
Christmas
week.
trees that haven't survived. Okay,
those
plenty
drones.
of Christmas trees.
The
haven't
Mini
survived.
2 is not a Christmas ornament. They're not to be hung up on trees. They're meant to fly around safely.
Yeah. No, it'll be an ornament for the outdoor trees.
The city
part of the
is
problem.
loaded with Mini 2s right now.
Yeah.
Brand new owners.
Look, you really need to understand that if you don't have Addy mode capability on your drone and you are having problems, you've got to understand you do have a pause key on your controller. Most people, you know, when somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, I flew into the tree and it flew away from me," and I go, "What did you do?" "I watched it go into the tree." Okay, pause key. Where is that? It's on. I'm sorry. It's on the same thing you were moving the controls on. I mean, you got to realize there's a pause key there. It does work, by the way. When shit starts hitting the fan, hit the pause key. Give yourself a minute to think. And in that minute, take the minute to think. What am I going to do next?
A lot of people don't do that. They panic and they want to give the control to somebody that's experienced to do it.
I got what you're saying with the pause key, but just like you said, when shit hits the fan, right? So now hit the pause key. So now we slowed the shit down, right? But when we hit that pause key, isn't the shit going to continue into the fan?
Yes, I said take the minute to think what you're going to do next. If you got to jump in the car to go meet your drone on the other side of the Van Wyck Expressway, be prepared. Okay?
Did you guys, I don't know if Matt was here, Herman, John, Jose, and a few people were overflying by the train bridge out where I live. Now, we had flew 2 other spots before that. And usually, with enough experience, you know, if you relocate to a new spot, you should recalibrate. But people in their haste,
all the time,
quick to get into the air. I'm not going to say who, but a pilot was like, "Yo, Lawrence, my drone's going that way. Here," and he just gave me the remote. Now, fortunately, I know how to fly in Addy mode because I teach people how to fly in Addy mode before GPS. But this is not something that you should do. Had I not been there and knew what to do, what was I going to do? Pass it to the next guy?
All you got to do is keep the drone steady. That's it. If you can keep it steady and hold it there for a few minutes, GPS will come back.
Just worked out PayPal. Okay, later, guys. Hey, El
Smackhead, Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year.
Have a great one, man.
So, you know, part of the issue also is, you know, you say, and this is something we've talked about this year. Why all these extra restrictions on unmanned aircraft? Why? You know, if I'm in a regular aircraft, I can fly over people. I can fly hundreds of tons of weight over people if I'm in a manned aircraft. Well, also in a manned aircraft, you have an understanding and you have bearings. You know, this is forward, this is back. So there was something up in the chat just a few seconds ago. Oh, Place It Here said the first and only time I crashed the camera drone, I was pushing roll when I thought I was yawing and right into the tree sideways. And that's not unique. Don't worry, Place It Here. You're not the first one to do that. And that's the number one problem on Christmas morning, by the way, is when they set up their drone, they have it looking at them because they can see themselves on the camera. Okay,
Like
Right
this.
is left.
but
They want to see that camera.
everything is
Situation
right.
fairness.
They want to see that
So
camera, and they don't know left is right and right is left because they never learned how to fly.
Forward is back and back is forward. Everything is back.
well, this is again, nobody really takes the time. And come on, we're kind of a little bit guilty of it ourselves when we all first started, because we all first started somewhere, right?
True.
Yeah.
Right in the
You got to
process.
take the time to learn the entirety of that screen you're looking at, to understand there are indicators on that screen that help you figure out whether you're facing away from you or facing towards you. Okay, even learning how to turn yourself. It's much like photographer. You know, I get a kick when I see somebody taking photos of a group of people, okay, and they can't get everybody out in the shot, so the photographer tells everybody to keep backing up.
No, you
So
move
you got
backwards.
20 people backing up so they fit in the shot, instead of the photographer taking one person taking a
Exactly,
few
one
steps
person
back,
back.
right? So, you know, I get a kick out of that when I see it
Oh,
each and every
nervous.
time. But I also get a kick out of when I see drone pilots looking this way, okay,
And the drone
with
is
their
behind
controller and
them.
going, I'm losing my connection. Meanwhile, your drone is over there. Turn. Use the body and turn. Okay. Also, I've seen people with the smart controller where the antennas are straight out, because I had to put them straight out to get my two
That's a pet peeve of mine when I see people
control
with antennas
knobs.
like that.
Okay. Well,
Not
one
just
antenna
the
this
smart
way,
controller,
you know, on the
most
classic
other
remotes.
controllers.
Well,
Or
the good thing
Tom,
now is with the new Mini and the Mavic Air controller, where you drop it. Well, no, not the Mavic Air controller, but the new Mini controller, where you drop it into the holder, so you can't move one antenna this way and one antenna that way.
Still has to face the drone.
And also those people that buy the boosters, those copper plated
parabolic reflectors,
that makes it super directional at
and
that
they
point.
aim at the
Because you don't
ground.
have that circular thing going on from around the sides. You
It's
directional.
facing one direction.
So
Yeah, we
you
won't
have to
mention
really,
names.
you have
We
to
won't
really make
mention
sure
names,
you're
but-
facing the drone, because you completely blocking it from behind you. So even if you passing it without those what they call them, the boost,
Omnidirectional.
yeah,
Cooking hot dogs.
you totally cutting the signal at that point if that drone goes behind you with that copper.
We have a few people, we won't name them by names, but you can't stand next to them when you're flying. Okay.
Yeah. Or they'll X-ray your
Because of that. Yeah. If they cross your stream, it's like Ghostbusters. Never cross the streams. Okay. So yeah, a few. They'll go. I won't name them.
Happy
here, but
New
there's
Year,
a few
Copper
people
State.
here. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Like I said, we had this has been a rough year, but as far as the drone world and the stories that we've covered here, we started the year off with stuff that, from stories from CES, talking about the new drones that were coming out and things that come to play. And we were introduced to the V-Copter, which, mind you, Lawrence is still taking pre-orders on that. The drone hasn't come out yet.
Yes.
And the Evo 2. We also saw where UPS and Matternet got approval as one of the first drone delivery airlines here in the United States, with WakeMed, with Dr. Gwen over there, and the hops back and forth from one medical center to the other. We also saw things like the Phaser 35, which was a 115-foot wingspan solar UAV making its maiden flight. We've covered a lot of these stories. We even covered EHang's approval from the Chinese government for for them to be able to produce
air taxis,
drone taxis over there. We've covered a lot of stories here. Wednesday night with those guys, we've covered it. We had Haya Costello here on the show also. We've got a bunch of
who was just in the chat earlier, who
Drone
stopped in.
From Drone XL. We've even talked about the Air Force and the.
Did you have Sean on Wednesday nights or only on Sunday nights? Was Sean on Wednesday?
Sean on
yeah,
several.
Sean's been. Yeah.
But we've had this. We
Geek
covered
Swana.
this. The Air Force had their where the X. What was this? The X3 37.
37B, yes.
Yeah, received the Robert J. Carter Trophy. You know, we've covered a lot of different stories.
There you go. There's the X37B.
One that was the bird that they had up secretively up in the sky for so long.
I was going to order that one, but I heard DJI was coming out with the FPV drone, so I had to order it.
Yeah, I'm waiting on that one too.
Which, by the way, is not going to happen before the new year, of course. Maybe the first quarter. Maybe the first quarter, because from what I understand, there are not just DJI, but there are a lot of companies that we deal with internationally that are waiting for a certain transition to transpire first.
Okay.
Well, the only other problem you have with that
political.
is something that also
we'll
happened
like
this
that
year
without getting political.
was DJI getting put on the entity list. So that's going to be a difficult
Happy
thing.
New Year, Dave Innes. Thanks for stopping in.
Had Ash from
Throw everything at the wall. Yeah.
When the Osmo 2 was the Osmo Pocket 2.
The Pocket 2
was released. We had them.
Did you get one for Christmas, Herman?
No, I didn't get that. But
you didn't get the.
No, but I got a few other things that I needed.
You got a few other things.
And I had
noticed when Herman talks now, he doesn't turn his head; he goes like this.
But you know what? It's just
it's because
it's just
got
so
the Star Trek screen across his desk there.
Oh yeah,
he has to turn like this.
Which one you got?
I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
It is crazy. My brother.
I barely get sleep now because the lights in my room are so bright from these two monitors. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You know what that's like.
Yeah.
No, but that was part of the reason why I wasn't on, because I had
Good evening, Global.
But yeah, like I said, we had Ash from Droning on, and we talked about the Pocket 2, and also this one was the one that we mentioned, the Nuva V300. We mentioned that, and we also brought it back again when they had gotten the flight controller when they partnered up with Honeywell.
Yes.
So we've covered a lot of different stories, and like Lawrence is mentioning, but before that, we had also covered. This was the one that was very, very big. Drone seed with the forest fires out west. They had gotten the job to do reforestation.
Reforestation, yeah.
Yes.
Replant trees and stuff after the heavy fires that took place out west. And Ryan, who was in the chat, we had him on, on those
Ryan
those guys, 61. We had him on when we were talking about Mr. James Benson, who had the aerial trespassing case in Louisiana, where they're breaking him over the coals with the local municipality.
That was a big story.
We've covered a lot of things. We even covered when the FCC went after Hobby King for the radios that they were selling. These high-powered radios that they claim were past legal. And this is right up your alley with those radios that are past.
Yep. Frying hot dogs. Yep.
I can't. I had a Phantom Pro, the Pro 4. And after that story hit, I sold it. I got another one, but I sold that one because the original, the 4 Pro that I got had custom antennas. It came from Florida. And
was a package you got it? I know.
Yeah, I got it. The guy I got it
all
from.
Equipped and
it was a legit dude,
Yeah.
And the drone was great, and it had the custom antennas and everything. It had 2 sets that I could switch. One was like a block, almost like the Alienware one.
That's
and then the other one was
microwave kidneys.
Yeah, I think I took out a couple of people with the docks over here. But anyway, they might be having problems now from last summer.
You see Herman's egg beater, 6-turn helical egg beater? He don't dare show it any higher. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up selling that one because I didn't want to have no
definitely
issues.
give you a mean headache if you stand in front of it.
Yeah. So I sold that one and I got a replacement with no customized anything on it. It's just a regular Pro 4 Pro. Not the V2, but the regular joint.
Phoebe, I could turn the seatbelt sign off and on the planes. With
You
that.
make my whole truck light up like a Christmas tree, probably with that. With all the little freaking lane changing warnings and all that.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of names come into play, Airbus and all of these people in the short space of time in 1 year. And like I said, you've seen a lot of drones come. You guys, what was like the best drone you've seen this year?
Yeah.
It's not out yet.
It's not out yet.
It's not out yet.
This year.
Oh, yeah, I said I still got a day to hope.
Listen,
right?
I think the Air 2. The Air 2.
I think the Air 2.
You know what? I got
Air 2
agree
was
with you.
super impressive. I think it was an impressive drone.
I think what they did was they kind of brought a lot of that technology that we saw in the Phantom 4 Pro without giving you the real raw part of it. They gave
I gotta say the Mini 2 is real impressive.
Can I say one thing?
It is, but I was saying as far as the ability to do shooting the 4K 60, it was small enough for you to be able to carry it everywhere, to be able to use it whenever you wanted to. And it wasn't as small as the Mini, no, but it was smaller than the regular Mavic, and it was very compact.
You guys
and
mentioned
what the camera was capable of doing, it was pretty good.
You guys mentioned a lot of good birds out there, but nobody mentioned what started it all, the Mavic Pro.
But we're going again.
Again,
he only wants to cover. Look. You can't go. Look, you're not Benjamin Button, dude. Okay, so calm down. We're talking about this year. Okay, the one we want to put behind us.
Well, you got to think about it. All of that technology started with that Mavic
You're
Pro.
only looking at the offspring. You're looking at the offspring, dude.
That's messed up. It's like get rid of the embryos, go straight to the kid.
Man,
no, we gotta stay in this year, like Tom said, within this year. I think Matt has pulled off amazing pictures I've seen on social media with the Mini 2.
I'm still practicing. I'm not there yet. I'm still practicing.
For that,
we're trying.
He should be getting a job with DJI because he sells it. He pulled. I mean, I've seen a lot of people take pictures, and not that they're whack pictures. I'm just saying, Matt just pulls out pictures that you would think it's a 2 Pro or something. You know what I'm saying?
You know what the thing is? It was getting them new monitors because I've been working with a television for a while. A television doesn't have the same DPI as
you can't reproduce the colors, man. You don't have the color gamut.
Once I went to an actual computer monitor, that's when you got to see what you're doing.
Well, look, but it really comes down to, and I just have to say it over and over again, the best camera is the one you have with you, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is,
Agreed.
well, that doesn't mean you can just pull it out of your pocket. Look, there are plenty of phenomenal images I've taken with this iPhone that people think I'm shooting with, my Z6 with. No, it's understanding how to expose an image.
Yeah.
Okay. Get the right. Not everything has the same latitude of contrast, so you got to figure out where's the best place to be, and then you bring it into post and honestly, guys, if you're using anything but Lightroom today, you're missing the opportunity to really.
Tom, I said I would never
to really get everything out of it.
Just there, you have to bring your pictures into post.
You have to.
Cache photos, I hate those with a passion. But you know what?
Well, the thing is, when you turn around, Matt, right? When people, it really strikes me funny when people take a raw image and they go, "Oh, JPEG looks so much better."
No.
Yeah, a JPEG's already processed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
That raw image has to be tweaked. Look, I had a darkroom, okay? And when people say, "Oh, you're cheating with digital," back in the day, you're looking at a guy back in the day Okay, back in the day,
it's behind you. I see that curtain.
I had to.
I see a dark room,
bro. I know, right? Right.
You hang up and just go back there.
You had to.
Prints in the solution, put them on a hanger. Yeah.
If the light's red, don't come a knocking. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, yes, I either I either had to, you're either dodging or burning. Okay, with chemicals.
Yeah.
The second I got a chance to go digital, man, I did. I'm an early adopter. Okay?
I agree.
I had a Nikon D1. So it's about being able to expose the image based upon what's handed to you. Okay.
Yeah, think of this too, Tom.
This is the perfect example right here of what you're talking about as far as shooting in RAW. All of these pictures here there's a RAW and there's a JPEG on the side. If you look at it, it's obvious RAW has more data. JPEG is like going to
JPEG's already taken stuff and thrown it away.
It's all caked in.
To McDonald's.
That's what it is. They bake
Big Mac.
Yeah, they bake it all in.
You're getting a Big Mac from McDonald's, and as opposed to going to Five Guys where they make your burger.
Yeah.
So
there's a difference.
So you go, well, look, my Mavic Air 2 shoots 48 megapixel photos. My Z6 doesn't. My Nikon Z6 with a mirrorless C mount sensor.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a full frame 35 millimeter sensor. Doesn't shoot 48 megapixels. So isn't my Mavic 2 Air better? No. It's like taking a postage stamp and trying to fit the entire world's population in it. They're all not going to fit, and they're all not going to get along.
And if they do fit, it's going to be super compressed. Try to find.
Well, the problem is,
isn't that
when it is compressed, they don't get along. So what you have is you have chromatic aberration.
Yeah.
You have distortion. You have pixel pollution. Okay. So I posted an image. I think it was yesterday of a shot. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, or no, the day before. I shot with the Mavic Air 2 at sunset. Okay. Did I get a decent image out of it? I'll call it decent. Will I call it anything but a decent image? No, because I had to shoot at 400 ISO in order to get enough light.
So you introduced grain into the picture.
Yeah, I introduced grain. And Stevie, that was my own damn fault, and I'll tell you why. Because Knucklehead, my wife says to me, hey, you got to see the moon out there. It's incredible. So I go out into the back. I don't even look towards the moon. I put the drone up, and I'm looking towards the sunset because that, to me, was awe-inspiring. I didn't realize the moon was huge behind me. By the time I turned around, it was nothing but a dime, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I have my Mavic Air 2 is always equipped with is a variable neutral density filter. And instead of it being turned down to an ND4, it was
all the way
at
up.
ND8. So after I was already up in the sky, and again, I haven't kept my batteries, anything above 50% for the last week and a half. So basically, I put it up and I'm at 50% or less, and I'm not going to land to take the shot. So I had to figure it out. I had to, do the math basically. Okay. No, I wasn't going to shoot. I wasn't going to let the drone shoot for me in automatic. I had to go into manual. I had to find that sweet spot and get the guys. If you don't use a histogram, I also think you're losing out a bit. Okay. I like to use a histogram on my screen. You can say, hey, it looks busy. But again, it's a tool. It's a tool.
Listen,
okay.
I always, I don't know if any of these people in the chat see my videos, but I always use the histogram because sometimes you can't even see your screen, even with the visor. You can't see, but if you look at that histogram, if something's not right.
It makes a difference between a picture like this, Stevie, and one that's not.
Yeah,
like
you said,
well, you want to be able to recover something.
Right.
So you don't even need a zebra print with the history.
That's why you have to shoot in RAW. That's why you have to shoot. If you're serious about your images, you got to shoot in RAW. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. By not doing so, you're throwing so much away. Okay? Let me make the analogy for you, for those that like to imbibe, you ask for top shelf liquor, okay, and they're giving you well water. That's the difference. Your raw image is top shelf. It's got all the data in it that you could want. And if you can recover your highlights, if you can recover your shadows, you will be able to successfully do that 10 times out of 11 with a raw image, where 10 out of 11 times you won't be able to with a JPEG. Okay?
I have a question.
It's that simple.
For Matt, the Mini 2 has RAW file for the photos?
Yes, it has raw JPEG, yes.
Because if I remember correct, I don't have a Mini, but if I remember correct, the original Mini didn't have RAW.
It didn't have it. No, it only had
No,
JPEG.
it didn't have it.
That's
didn't
why,
have it, Stevie. I have the original Mini.
That's why I purchased the original Air. Even though they said it's terrible in the city and everything, the reception is bad. But I purchased the original Air because I was going to go to Peru. And I had the option of the Mini and the Air at the time because they were both out. And when I found out that the Air had the RAW file, I bought the Air. Just because of that.
That's the selling
honestly.
point.
Yeah, and
because
also 2.7.
I wanted the option to be able to play with the picture in Lightroom. And especially I'm going on a trip like that.
Only Wi-Fi, 5.8 gig. That's why it was so terrible in the Air. It really was for short range.
But
it didn't have it didn't have the penetration.
If you know its shortcomings, you don't have a problem.
Yeah, you can work around them.
Yeah, if you don't know what it's capable of, you might overextend yourself and lose the drone, or possibly something happen. But since I did my research, I already knew that the drone is not going to get too far. And I knew, it was very noisy. So I bought the master screw propellers that were a little less noisy. It was like more of a bassy sound than the high-pitched Angry Bees.
Yeah.
I hooked it up as much as possible, but honestly, it was for quick attacks. Like when I'm out of the country or out of the state and I see a nice church or something, I just pull it out, get my shot, throw it back in the bag and keep it moving. Obviously, I couldn't do that with a Phantom 4 Pro or a Phantom Advance, which what I had at the time.
But now, I gotta say, Stevie, I love the Mavic Air 2, though.
Yeah, the Air 2. The Air 2 came, after the fact.
Yeah.
And I love the Air 2.
Yeah, I owned I owned an original Air also and was disappointed with it. Used it, but it's much like you said. You know its shortcomings. It's just like with the camera, right? And it could be camera on your drone too. If you know it doesn't handle low light well, then you gotta make sure you overexpose your image.
Yeah.
Because it's probably a little easier to get back your highlights than it is to get back your shadows.
Correct.
Okay. There's actually more data available towards that end of the curve also. So in a histogram, okay? Realize when you think of a histogram, think of it, I think of things a lot of times as math. And a histogram is math. A histogram is 0 at the black, okay, and 256 at the white end, okay? Yeah. Now, if you're underexposed, add up all that data. You don't have a lot. But if you overexpose or lean more towards the highlight and the white side of the fence, you actually have more data. And it's easier to get highlights back, okay, without completely blowing out than it is to get shadows back. Yeah. Shadows are tougher because you're more likely to get noise.
You're gonna get noise, especially with DJI products. The sensors are not big enough, unfortunately. But
that's the thing. You have a certain amount of surface area. You're plugging all these pixels in, and the pixels can pollute each other. And that's when you get that chromatic aberration. That's when you get that fringing, right? The purples and greens that don't belong anywhere near what you were shooting. And you'll get the softness too, because the image won't have those hard, distinct edges. Now, the larger the sensor, and that's why, some of us old schoolers still love our P4Ps. Okay? I'm looking at Herman with them sitting behind him.
But I was going to say something. I just recently got one. I love that drone. I love it. I love it. That's the trade-off you get.
Love it. Wanting to go smaller and smaller with the drone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look,
ability.
There will come a time where the pixel size is reduced so low that your pixel density is no longer an issue. That's what's happening. I mean, that's with everything in our world, it's being miniaturized, right? So they will get to the point where that 1/2.3 sensor is just as good as a 35 millimeter sensor. And I think you're only a couple of years away from that.
Yeah, the technology will catch up.
Yeah. And it really comes down to, remember when we first got our hands on a Nikon D1, the first digital SLR camera. There you go. There she is. She's so pretty, man.
That's a beautiful drone.
Nice, sleek lines. It doesn't even look like it should be able to fly, man. Okay. But it looks like a pillow up in the air, that damn thing.
It sure does.
Should put a couple of angel wings on it. You know, look, you're really getting to the point. You're really getting to the point where they'll be able to get that latitude of contrast. I mean, when we first started shooting with a Nikon D1, the first digital SLR camera, man, you had a very narrow range of contrast. You were either blowing skies out or the shadows were completely muddy. And you had to learn how to work within that range. And it just keeps on getting wider and wider, where these cameras now are surpassing, the latitude of contrast of our eyes. So they're already seeing things we can't, right? Once you start adding thermal spectrum, they're seeing things we can't anymore. So that technology is just rapidly. I
think that's kind of far off when they get to a camera that basically replicates the human eye, because the contrast of the human eyes is so
dynamic range.
Yeah.
The dynamic range, that contrast of
foreground
latitude.
and background at different spectrums. The eyes are incredible.
Hey, lost girl.
But again, think about this technology is good for a lot of verticals. We talk about it in the drone world because that's where our passion is. But Matt, as they continue to miniaturize and work through these obstacles, think about what it does for those that are sight impaired, right?
Yeah.
To where they can finally get to the point where they can maybe even replace the human eye and tie that into the network, the cerebral cortex, tie that in into the optical nerve. So they're getting there.
They are getting there. They can replace your cornea now.
Really?
They can cut out your cornea and replace it now.
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah, but
one time glaucoma, if your eyes get cloudy, they couldn't clear that out.
Right.
Cataract, glaucoma. Yeah, they do that. I know about that.
He used to pick up eye tissue and deliver it to the hospital.
To scrape the top layer of your eye and get that off. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I gotta go. I'm heading out to Brooklyn, but I want to say it's great seeing you, Lawrence. I know we've been talking, but it's different to see you and hear your voice.
Yes.
Yeah, you got some weight off. See his neck.
Yes, sir.
I got a little lighter.
Yeah, I know. I was in the same position, so I know
exactly. And Stevie, I wanted to say, Stevie, I appreciate it because Stevie, Tom, Herman, Matt, all of the guys on Facebook and everything that were, I hope you're okay and stuff. Some were out of the loop, some weren't. All I can say is the prayers were appreciated. And if you really wanted to know what I had to say about 2020, I don't have enough time in the day. But
that'll be for another stream.
You guys understand, and I appreciate, and my family and us, we all really, really appreciated the prayers and support that you guys were giving us.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate everything you do. You're a great person to have in the circle, man, for sure. So
absolutely,
I'm glad to see you. Like I said, it was good. I was like, I got all excited. I saw you I was looking for my phone. I was trying to get, logged in and everything. I was like, he's there. That's good. So
yeah, because I was actually going to try and come back, and I was like, well, maybe I should go on Facebook and do a thank you. And then I was like, maybe I should go on YouTube. And Herman and I had been talking daily on my good days. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do anything electronic. Today, is the second day I've cut my computer on in over a week and a half.
Mm.
You know, so it was more so about focus on health. I still have to do breathing exercises.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like that for a while. I was there, so
You know, but
Get
basically
that
it feels
spirometer
good that I
going,
can
buddy.
stay awake longer than 3 hours
Yeah.
also.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
take
so
it
I
slow, bro.
appreciate
Take it. Don't
everyone
push.
else.
Listen.
From a person
listen.
that had it in the early part of the year, basically, I'll tell you it's gonna take a while, but you'll be all right. Because like
Listen
I said,
to
I
your
gained
body.
1 inch.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. If you're tired, lay down.
And
Push
I
yourself.
gained
That's what I do.
30 pounds.
Herman
Your
will
body
tell
will
you.
definitely rebound back.
Herman will tell you there were times I'd be talking to him and I'm like, yo, I need to get some rest now. And he's like, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Rest is your friend right
Call
now.
me
You're
and
gonna be
ask
a
me
lot.
how was I doing? And I'm like, today's not a good day. So, you know, it's the fact that you have people out there supportive, and I was making sure Herman got in touch with Tom, and when you're sick, you don't think about this shit.
Nah.
Nope.
No. It's the last thing you worry about.
You know, you're trying. Hey, Invincible Storm, what's up?
I'm
How
gonna
are
throw
you,
the
man?
phone out the window.
What's up, Anthony? How are you, brother?
What's up, man?
How are you? How are you, Anthony Charles? What's up? And I just want to say thank you again for all the prayers and well wishes. I mean, I have people outside of the United States, in the United States. I had someone in Phoenix,
Nice, man.
Arizona, that was willing to go across into Mexico to get me medication that they couldn't get here in the States, and
Wow.
next day ship it to me. So
Wow.
when you hear and you think about this stuff, it helps you get through times like that. And us as a drone community, we do stick there for each other.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you got it.
You
You
know?
got it.
Well-
camaraderie is there. It's definitely there. So it's
One thing I
great
can
seeing
tell
you
you,
back.
All you guys,
listen, now
happy
you
New
have
Year's.
anybody, so
Happy
you
New
already
Year,
won that.
Steve.
Stevie,
Happy New
we
Year's.
got to fly soon together, bro.
Yeah, definitely. We'll arrange it. Hit me
Okay.
up. I'll be there.
Definitely,
Matt.
bro.
Yes, sir.
Take care, bro.
All right.
Herman,
Happy New Year, Stevie.
thank you for the invite. Happy New Year's, guy.
Well,
So I see Anthony joined us this evening.
Yes.
I
There's
just
no
want-
snow out there tonight, so he's got some free time available for some of us.
All right, you got the wind chill.
By the way,
And some
He's got me thinking I want to buy an
Mhm.
RC car now. You know, just
You know, they're a lot of
Anthony,
fun.
was that your son driving that beast or what? That was I love the slow-mo action on that too.
Do what I did. I had that thing hit the wall in the park, and I kind of had to do some body and fender work, because you know the bodies on those things are flexible, so when it does crack, it doesn't scratch the paint and everything because it's painted from the inside. But you can also, when it
from the
cracks,
inside, yeah.
when the body cracks, you can also like hold it back together and duct tape.
Epoxy back. Yeah, duct tape the inside
On
shell.
the inside, nobody will ever know that they crashed it.
To hell, on the inside, it almost doesn't flex anymore. There's
I
so
still
much
have
duct
mine.
tape
I
in
just
it.
don't want to put no work into it. I still have them.
But I got tires with different rims and all kind of stuff I've changed off of it. You get caught up in it and you start dressing them because it's cheaper than dressing your car. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the problem.
All I care about right now, Lawrence is home and we're going into a new year looking for a break.
In a glass.
I appreciate it. I got to pass on a drink though.
Don't worry about it. I'll take one for you.
He'll take one for you.
Herman will catch up for you. Don't worry.
I appreciate it. I was actually
talking about.
He's got a
flying.
second leg. Don't worry. He's got some place to put it.
I got an email. I was talking back and forth with, because last week Ken had his show last Thursday and he mentioned he was going to be in Jersey. And I spoke to him on an email. I got in the car Saturday morning, drove down to Ocean City. Ooh, that was a drive and a half.
Yes.
I was talking on the phone for over an hour actually on the way down there.
yeah.
Actually, after my first hour of driving, I was on the phone with Lawrence. I'm like, yo, Lawrence, this place is out there. I've never been out there before.
Ocean City, baby.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know,
Very far.
Aaron, every day, the day after Christmas, he has a meetup in Atlantic City.
Right.
And who was there? Billy, Kyle, Ron? All these
Yeah, I ran into Ron Brown. It's funny because I was like, that voice sounds familiar. And I was like,
yeah, that's wrong.
I know you. He goes, I'm Ron Brown. I'm like, man, Flight 101. He was like, oh, hey. But, you know, I ran into a lot of the guys that come in the stream, a lot of guys that are on, you know, in the chat, you know, on Ken Herron's show. It was a nice meetup. We went from there over to the, you know, the Big Elephant, Lucy. And then after that, we went over to the Lighthouse in Atlantic City. It was a nice little thing. Billy was out there. Nice little get together with some of the guys. And
too cold. You forgot to mention it was too damn cold.
It was so
wicked.
cold.
He was talking to me and I was under the blanket like this.
I was just like, yo, you know what? This is dumb. Let me bring this drone down and pack up. I'm cold.
This is dumb.
This is dumb. I'm trying to fly this drone and I'm like, I can't. It's so damn cold. The drone was fine, but you know, but the one thing that I did learn is that when you don't fly these things for a while, it takes a minute for them to kind of get back into the thing. Because I did the firmware update and everything. When I went out there, didn't want to connect. When it finally connected, she was flying with no problem.
Herm, every time you do a firmware update, you have to do an IMU calibration.
I did all of that.
Okay,
I did all of that before.
Not only that, taking off in that cold weather.
Connecting,
you gotta make sure.
It connects. After a while, when I shut it off and turn it back on, she got a good tablespoon of get right. It was going. It's just that by then it was too cold out there. Down there by that water in Atlantic City.
Yeah, well, the last place you guys flew was the Lighthouse, right?
Yeah, you see how close that is to the water.
Yeah, literally. As soon as you go up, you can see the edge of the beach there.
So, you know, Lost Girl Hike said, you know, you need some of those hot hands. I love hot hands. Don't get me wrong, but they got to come out with hot fingers.
Thank you.
That's what my problem is.
It's
okay?
The fingers.
So, you know, looking at the bike stuff, right? The wife said to me, you know, we got 3 different pairs of gloves now. I've only had the bikes for a couple of months, and we got 3 different pairs of gloves now.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got the half finger gloves. We got full finger gloves. Now we got winter bike gloves, and now, of course, I said I'm just going to add two plastic garbage bags to the front, and we're not delivering takeout. Okay, so now we're looking at these you put on the bike. But the thing is, I want heated gloves, baby. Okay, at $180 a pair, I'm moving someplace warm.
Well, no man should ever have on mittens. That's mittens with one and a finger.
Well, you get I got the mittens where it comes off and your fingers are exposed. We used to use that for the controllers, right? But then I got the gloves where you can get 3 fingers.
You keep your hands.
No grown man should have mittens. No.
But again, it's the damn fingers I'm trying to keep warm. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
the
thing is, we need those. It's flying in drones. We need those.
Have fingers, man. There is no glove that you can actually have good dexterity and work that will keep your hand warm. They just don't make.
I'm going to pull it up right now. A lot of FPV pilots.
Yeah,
it's actually
the heated hoodie and the vest. Yeah,
it's actually a hood for the controller that you slip your hands inside.
Yeah.
It comes out, and I just found out recently that they're starting to making them heated. But it looks like Xavier.
That's good because a lot of them are made
Coast Guard suit because they're bright orange, but your screen goes in this way.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
And your hand
it's a muff
inside up their muzzles. Yes,
it's a muff. It's a winter muff. Basically, they have them. Yeah, that was the problem.
They all made in China. To wait 3 months to get it, it'll be spring by the time you get it.
Yeah, it'd be springtime.
The ones for the cameras at B&H.
Yeah, I had one for one of my camera bodies.
Mhm.
You know, when I was out filming in the wilderness with it, you needed it. But yeah, no, the hot hands. I had the hot soles, which are the ones that stick in your shoes.
I got a bag of those.
Yeah.
What about the heated vest? Because Justin put me onto it.
Yeah, they're nice.
Milwaukee makes a good heated vest. The
Milwaukee
Milwaukee
makes several versions of that, by the way. Milwaukee makes a ton of heated product.
I have the
They make
heated
pants and
the
everything.
vest.
Yeah, they have the jackets, the vests. They have them. Yeah.
The problem is if you are stopped and searched by a police officer because of the backpack, it'll feel like you're carrying a piece or something. But other than that, I like my hoodie because it's a lot more snug, and they do covers the front plate and the back plate, as opposed to my vest only covers the back.
Like you just said, if it's cold outside, that fist might be extended.
Lost
Girl said those are her favorite, the hot shoes.
Hot shoes, baby. I love those.
That fist might
Stick
be
those right in
the
the toe of the shoe. Yep.
Yeah, I got a bunch of those.
You gotta layer. I mean, there's no way around it. You gotta and really you got two choices against your skin: silk or wool, or actually cotton. Don't go wool. No, don't go wool. But silk is probably the best. The best base layer you can put on is silk. But that makes a huge difference. The base layer makes a huge difference because that's your first insulator. Usually I don't have a problem with my torso or my legs because I can layer. Again, it comes down to hands. And you know what? Wearing a mask is a good thing in the winter. But the problem is,
even more so,
of course, if you're wearing glasses, you're fogging up your glasses. So how do you deal with that now? So there's always something. Huh?
I just learned that because I just started wearing glasses. So that's the problem I'm having right now.
Actually, wipes are better. In fact, I've been playing with this product in my hand all night. This thing, and it was a Kickstarter where basically you can see it's got little holes on this side, and actually a hole in the back, but nothing on this side. And actually, you put it inside your mask here, which is all well and good. I tried it; it works pretty good. And of course, when you exhale, it's not going up under the glasses. The only problem is if you got to pull the mask down, where's it going? Okay, so it doesn't attach.
Here you go.
But the good thing is when I got these delivered, this was a Kickstarter. When I got this delivered, it just came yesterday, and I opened up the packaging. I saw on it that it's made out of natural rubber latex, and my wife is latex sensitive. I'm glad I caught it just in time because after wearing the mask the first time, imagine she takes the mask off and she's got a big red rash.
Oh,
I
wow.
wouldn't live here anymore. I actually put them in an envelope and sent them to a friend. Yes, that Lawrence, what you were showing is exactly
it's
that.
Close.
It's a muff.
It's close, but that's the.
It's a muff around the controller. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
basically you're trying to knock down the wind.
Yes.
And the problem is when you got the controller, you're out there exposed like this, right?
Sure.
Okay. The same thing when we're out riding our bikes, where the fingertips are out there on the handlebars.
Yeah.
So that's where your biggest problem comes in.
Smart controller, Lawrence, but not any other controller.
No, they actually do have one for.
No, they make it for a few different ones.
That was just a generic one that I pulled up on Amazon.
I've seen them.
But they actually have the antenna slots for DJI controller. And they actually have one recently made for the older version Crystal Sky.
Yes.
Okay, but right now that was just a generalized idea. But they do have them out there, and they are starting to battery power them and heat them. The problem is your hands are toasty, your fingertips are okay, but when you pull your hand out, it's like
right.
Well,
Lost Girl Hikes. I strongly suggest fog away wipes. Go up on Amazon, look for the wipes. A lot of these wipes you can use over and over again. Don't buy disposable fog wipes, anti-fog wipes. There are plenty of good ones out there that are reusable. You can use them numerous times over. But that's probably the best thing because listen, if you're snowboarding or skiing, you got basically the same issues that come up. So this is what's used out there. And if you look, and in fact, probably on Amazon Prime, it'll probably be one of the sponsored ones. But if you look, there's one up there that has over 10,000 reviews. Okay. And that's the one I would look at. Those work. So I can tell you from experience with the mask on, you got to just remember, you have to have, we have one in each car, and then we have one, in our bike bags. So whenever we go to put the glasses on, we wipe them down real quick and put them on. After that, you really shouldn't have a problem. So, but yeah, I've used them on camera lenses. Although remember, guys, your camera, you got to handle a certain way. When I go out in the wintertime with my cameras, I put them in a Ziploc bag. And I put, those discutants that come in most electronic products, don't throw those away. Keep those. Okay? Because, look, you can buy those discutants up at B&H if you want, but why buy them if they come in everything you own? Save those. Throw a couple of those in the Ziploc bag, a freezer bag. Throw your camera in there. Even your action cameras do the same thing. Now, when you get outside, you're going from hot interior into your car, which is still warmer than outside, and you go outside and your lenses fog up, you got to wait a while. So this way you keep them in the bag, you bring them outside, okay? Leave them for a minute or two in the bag before you open up the bag. And after you open up the bag, you should be okay. Same thing in the summertime. You go from the air-conditioned car, okay, to the outdoors.
Yeah, you have that condensation.
You get that condensation. So that's your workaround. That's coming from a pro photographer who's had to deal with that out in snowfields and stuff like that. So, that's the way to deal with it.
Yeah, silica gel, it come in everything. Yeah. Gel packs.
Yeah. Basically everything you buy today, you'll find a packet, and even medications.
Just don't eat it.
No, don't. Yeah.
I was trying to get you a link to go in a general area, but for some reason, YouTube has gotten slick. If your link is too long, it will not post. So just to give you a general idea, I was trying to just to point you in the right direction. Once you have the key words, then everything is. But it's basically
trying to post a link.
They can you'd come out better searching on Google. Let me see if I could find something. I'm trying to get you a better link than. Okay, here it's called transmitter remote control handle. Wait, transmitter remote control handle cold hands warm winds. It sounds stupid, but let's see. Oh, here's one. Here's the one for DJI, and this is a short link. Here, I found one for DJI, but it's on the same concept. Here we go. That one will take you to that link. That'll take you actually to this page here for you guys that aren't looking. This is this one is designed for the crystal sky, the DJI. That's what it looks like basically there. They all pretty much have the same concept where your controller goes inside and your screen. This one is exposed, but they actually do have some that cover the screen as well as the entire radio, except for these two pieces here, which of course are your antenna.
Okay. You can also find it by searching transmitter muff.
I would probably never use that.
And that was probably my thing, the keyword. I kept putting muzzle and a dog kept coming up.
You know that? I probably would never use that.
Well, you know what? I would have to say, Herman, if we were both out there last Saturday and I had one of those and I was saying how toasty warm it was, I think I could convert you, bro.
I have to see the controller.
You can see the controller, bro.
No,
You got a little window for that.
No, you can see the screen.
No, but Herman, that concept, they actually have one.
I understand
for
what
the
you're
entire
saying. I'm looking
controller,
at that which you showed. I would never use that because I
No,
can
not
only
the
see
one that's fully enclosed. I like the one where the screen is outside the, the muff.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Because Saturday it was freezing. I went to Valentino's and wrapped it up really quick.
It's right there on the water, man.
Yeah, right in front of it, right before the pier. Just took me a few shots and said, "All right, let me go home." And that's it. The sun disappeared.
Well, the
So did I.
good thing was you were close to home.
Yeah, I was just kind of nervous because I ride a board, and my board ain't really good with the battery being exposed like that. So I was kind of nervous. It did come back on though. Once I got it running, it started running.
Okay.
All right. Well, like Herman said, the show is limping to the finish line for 2020.
Yeah, hey, it's been a rough year. Like I said, over and over so far. It's been a rough year for everybody.
Listen, if you look at the history,
the way we thought they would, and then when we started to do things, the excuse with every company was, "Oh, COVID."
Yeah. I can't say what I think about 2020 on air. I can't say.
I was sitting there thinking, like, what should I title this show? And I said, you know what, man, the whole country's struggling. It's almost over. Got a couple of days. Show will be over. After the show will be one more day left. We headed to the finish line, but we're limping.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, that's like you're running or you're jogging and you see that person fall, the person behind comes and helps them across the finish line. That's pretty much the way we've been doing.
You also it's a year to take stock in how soft we've had life and how much people have had to give up.
100% right.
So we you got to feel blessed. We're blessed that you and your family are home, Lawrence. We're blessed that we're able to come on here and talk back and forth and socialize, because that's one thing we've been missing in the community was the social aspect of it, right? I mean, we complain about meats and it's a love-hate relationship with a meat, but it's more love than hate. Whenever we get a couple of us together that share the same passion, and it really doesn't matter what the topic is, okay? It allows us the ability to share, to teach, to learn, to communicate, and that I got to be honest with you. I thank you guys for allowing me into this little world of yours and participating, because it does make a difference. It expands, our little realm, which a lot of us have been stuck and bunkered down on. So being able to share with people in the community here and in the chat, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
It's true.
Thank you, for being here and for, helping to make this just a little bit better, and, the camaraderie amongst the guys. Like I said, we're all a bunch of guys who met flying drones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we all have the same love.
Little flying plastic can do. Like I said, I thank you. I thank Matt, even, Ray.
The subscribers and supporters who continue to come back and support us, because I'm sure there are a million other things that people could find to do. And the fact that we can actually say that those guys has a fan base, and I don't mean fan base as in, groupies, those guys are on. I mean more of a camaraderie of friends.
Community, right?
Of friends who can go somewhere on Wednesdays and Sundays and know that, okay, we don't have to hear the bullshit.
But we also,
there's no other way that you guys would have even looked at me in the street or in another state somewhere. You may have never had the opportunity to know what kind of person I am, as well
to cross paths.
Matt and Herman and everyone else that comes in. So we appreciate.
Right. It's the same thing I say every week.
Well, the other good thing here is We don't have to agree on everything.
True. And sometimes we don't.
We don't have to agree on everything, and we still get to communicate, and we still get to prove that there are different opinions, and those different opinions can coexist with each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So, our little drone community is just a little extension of life itself. That's all it is, right?
True.
You look for camaraderie, you look for a common interest, and we found them here. And it's that's what the difference is, and that's gratifying. And also you get to bounce things off of each other. What went right? What went wrong? How do I do this? And look, we all started someplace, and believe me, if you're done learning, you're done. You're fried. That's it. Got to find something else.
That.
Okay.
Right.
So, I'm always looking for the next thing, bro.
And it's true, Tom, because it's very crucial. I mean, at first I didn't stress this to Herman, but at one time with all of the drone pilots, and there are thousands in New York City, nobody was doing anything for or the drone community to let other people know. It's still a myth out there. You can't fly drones in New York. You can't do this. And it's obvious you can within reason and legally. And we know about the illegal issues, but that's everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? The fact that
I only drive at the
from
speed
New
limit.
York City, Tom.
I only drive at the speed limit. What am I? Come on, Lawrence, don't put me out there, man. I only drive at the speed limit.
Don't make me laugh.
I come to complete stops at every stop sign, and then some red lights too. But
but no one would have known
okay,
or got to meet us personally in the chat. Or
it's sharing
like
a little piece of look. One of the things I get a kick out of
not all New Yorkers are assholes.
No, we're not. We're not all. Just some of us.
Yeah.
Look, it's one thing I love about photography, and it's what keeps me juiced up about it is I get to share split seconds of my life with other people. Okay.
Right.
And I think that's what we do here. And I think that's what we do with our drone photography. I think that's what we do with our YouTube streams. Okay. And our photos on Facebook. Exactly. We're sharing split seconds of ourselves.
Exactly.
We're putting ourselves out there. And when you put yourselves out there, sometimes somebody's ready to kick you in the balls. That's life. Okay.
You want to know,
but you know what? Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. And a lot of people only want to hear theirs coming out of your mouth. You're always going to have that. Don't let that stunt your creativity. Don't let that stop you from expanding and finding new ways to get that juice.
That's why you wear a metal jockstrap when somebody tries to kick you in the balls.
That's right, man. Got to wear that cup.
Metal jockstrap.
No, but you're absolutely right on that one, though, Tom. So you put yourself out there, somebody's always going to find something to come at.
And it's very, very true, because the last live stream, I showed Herman a comment. I'm not going to bring it up, but the last live stream, of course, I was getting
comments every live stream,
and someone had left a comment saying something mean, and I didn't bring it to anyone's attention because YouTube alone saw it as a flagrant foul. And they got rid of it, but like Herman said, that doesn't mean anything. All you do is you keep it moving. Like Tom said, someone knocks your hat off, you get up, you dust it off, you put the fucker back on. You keep it moving.
And as Lost Girl Hikes just said, she likes to represent the drone community when out there flying. Look, we're all representatives of this community, right? And it's the way. Look, people approach us in different fashions, right? Some will be a little aggressive in the way they approach us. Others will be inquisitive. But you know what? Always turn around with the same look on your face. The look that I want to explain what I'm doing to you so you understand it better and you're more informed. Instead of right away somebody comes at you aggressively, your retort is to be aggressive with them. The best approach is, hey, you want to see what I'm doing? You want to see what it looks like? You want to, I've had people come up to.
We're New Yorkers.
Yeah, I know. We only approach people that way, right? I want a goddamn hot dog. Okay, that's how you approach the street.
What do you want?
And he's like, okay, fucker, and he hands you the hot dog. That's our greetings. That's our way of socializing. But the thing is, somebody comes up to you, show them what you're doing, because you might have somebody join the community, or you might have somebody become a proponent of the community later on when somebody else sees somebody flying. Then they can go, oh, no, they're just, you got to see the beautiful images those people take. You know,
Tom,
so it's up to us to share that.
You're right.
It's up to us to be the ambassadors.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we are getting as close as it gets to that witching hour.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
okay.
But you know, that's why I've always said, you know, we're talking about thank yous and stuff like that. Every week I always thank the guys in the chat for coming here and hanging out with us, you know, because like we always say, you know, if they weren't here, there'd be no reason for us to sit here and talk to no one and share some of the stories that we get and some of the knowledge that we have. And we're learning ourselves, you know, as we go along. Yeah. You know, we learn from each other. We learn from the guys in the chat. There's things that some of the guys in the chat have put up from many different shows that you know, we've learned from, and I can honestly say I've learned from. You know, talking about different, you know, shows and stuff like that on YouTube. You know, I always go back to the Canadian Drone Hub, and I thank Roger for the start here on YouTube and with this live streaming. You know, I got started over there with him, you know, and I like to thank him and Paul Murray, you know, for some of the, you know, the help that they've given me throughout the time to get started with this. So, you know, like I said, you guys, I got the best crew that comes in on the stream week after week, and I couldn't ask for any more. So I thank you guys.
Thank you, Herman. Thank you, Lawrence.
Yes.
Like I said, we'll be back in the new year, you know, with some, hopefully with some different looks and more stories. Keep the
January
stories coming.
3rd. Thank you. Jesus.
What's going on in the drone world, and or should I say in the unmanned community, period, you know, because we cover everything, not just, you know, consumer drones and stuff you might want to fly around the backyard. You know, we cover everything. You know,
and don't be afraid to always ask questions. It costs nothing to ask a question.
Hey, if you ask and we don't know, pretty sure one of us is going to start searching for it. Okay.
Or find someone that can answer for you.
And what you don't know today, you know tomorrow. So whatever you ask and I don't know, thank you. I appreciate it, because
that's what they say. The only stupid question is the question that you don't answer.
Exactly.
That you don't ask. Yep. Absolutely. Well, guys, happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, bro.
To bigger and better things, to you and your families as well. Not just because you come here and you sit and you listen to us. Your well wishes to you and your family, your loved ones. This was a rough year.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Well, you know, hey guys, Wednesday night with those guys is sponsored by
those guys. Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year, all.
Hey, everyone in the chat, I'd like to thank you guys for coming in, and I'd like to wish you guys a happy New Year. And I'll see you next time on Phantom Flight 101 with those guys.